Executive Director of East End Community Services, which is the only comprehensive community development initiative in the Dayton area. The mission of East End is to break the cycle of generational poverty in East Dayton by building a prosperous, healthy, and caring community that nurtures children towards success. Prior to her work at East End, Jan managed the Division of Neighborhood Development for the City of Dayton for 12 years. She spent 8 years as a product manager at NCR Corporation and managed a county-wide community goals setting process following her graduation from the University of Dayton with a BS in psychology. Jan has been happily married for 40 years and has 3 grown children.
And a grandchild.
And a beautiful 4-year-old grandchild.
Okay, that's not on here. I will add that. One grandchild.
I know, but you gotta say that, right?
Yes.
Okay, full disclosure, not only am I on Melissa's Welcome Dayton committee, Melissa is on East End's board of directors, as is Tony Massoud on our board of trustees, so board of directors. So we're very inbred here. I've been to Riverdale, probably in this room, and the Scimitan, the Exchange Club, right? So some of you are going to hear this for the umpteenth time. So I do apologize, and I won't take a lot of your time.
She changed hers, she will too.
Right. Yeah. So this is a little brochure. East End was organized in 1998, and the first, and we were part of St. Mary Development Corporation back then. Some of you will know Xenia Avenue, some of you know St. Mary Church, and or Xenia Feed and Pet, if you've been in Dayton for a long time. We are located in that building now, about a block east of the St. Mary Church. And when we started under St. Mary Development Corporation, we went out into the neighborhood and said, how can we help? And the answer came back very clearly: our children have no dreams. Help our children be successful. And when we looked at the data, we found that indeed, so back in 1998, about 40% of our high school students were graduating, meaning 60% weren't graduating, okay? Pretty stunning statistics. And then we looked at the rest of the data. Very poor community, white Appalachian at that point in inner East Dayton, and that's what everybody thinks about when you think of East Dayton. Well, East Dayton is very, very different now. So fast forward about 18 years, and we have built our organization around our work with children. And as our mission stated, our mission is to break the cycle of poverty for children, for families and children, and the way we do that, of course, is through education. So East End has had a history of being engaged in education, because we recognize that our children, they come to school 2 years behind. Typically, when they start kindergarten, they are not close to being ready for kindergarten. We know that children who aren't ready for kindergarten are less likely to be reading by the 3rd grade, and if they're not reading by the 3rd grade, there's a high probability they may not make it through high school, let alone go to college. So in this world, we all have to have some kind of college or some kind of a job-related credential, right? No matter who we are. So we work at every stage of the developmental process with children. We started a charter school, which we put out of business when Dayton Public Schools, they had shut the neighborhood school down, Ruskin School, because it was really bad. Then they tore it down, then they decided to rebuild it, and they asked if we'd be the partner. Well, we already had a charter school down the street, but we said, you know what, our kids deserve a decent building, And we work then with Dayton Public to try to assure that we can have the best education at Ruskin School for our kids. So we moved 250 kids and all the teachers into the new building in 2008. Then we do the after school program. We've got about 35% of the whole school staying for an extra 3 hours every day, because we know poor kids need extra time on task, right? They need more nurturing, they need more hands-on opportunities for learning, and they don't always get it during the school day. The school day is only 6 hours a day now. So we do a lot of supplemental work with children, and we recognize that children live in families, and if the families are struggling for whatever reason, they're going to affect the learning opportunities for the child directly or indirectly. So we do a lot of case management with families. We work with teenagers and we feed the neighborhood kids at 5 o'clock every day, and then we keep them for programming, and we work specifically with the older kids till 7 or 8 at night, and our goal is to try to get them through high school, get them done with the FAFSA, make sure they're studying for the SATs, get them in, help them with the applications, whatever it takes to get them through graduation and into a college or post-secondary training program of some kind. So we wrap around the kids in the neighborhood, we wrap around the families, and we do whatever it takes. I mean, quite literally, we go to the hospitals with them. When a young lady's mother died and dad had already died and she had no family a year ago, she was ready to drop out of school and just get away. I mean, she was depressed, you can imagine. I mean, this child had no family left, and we wrapped ourselves around her and said, nope, you are not dropping out of school. We got her through high school, we provided the support, and last Wednesday she was playing a basketball game for, oh gosh, Cedarville. Clark State. Okay. She's playing basketball for Clark State, and they were playing against Sinclair the other day. So some of us went down. I didn't know, but some people went down to see her. So she's going to be okay, you know. But so we're there for kids to be able to do that. We also do a lot of community development work. We've torn down about 120 vacant, nasty structures, replaced them with 84 new single-family 3- and 4-bedroom homes that are all completely populated now, right in our neighborhood. So the school board made an investment of $20 million, and so did we, basically, in housing, so that we're sure that there's a future for the neighborhood. I mean, it could have easily gone the other way. We could have just knocked the whole thing down. Well, what's the point of that? So anyway, and we do lots of other things
How did the school get $20 million to put into
well,
something like that?
That's what it costs to build a public school.
Oh, okay. So they're not building the houses. I was
No.
confused
We
by
built
that.
the houses.
Okay, no problem.
Through tax credit projects and such. Anyway, so we've got a viable neighborhood now, and through this whole process have been immigrants who have been moving into our community. Most of them Latino, but we have some Hishka Turks, and we also have a lot of Middle Eastern folks, a lot of people coming in from Iraq a few years ago, not so much recently. But we have the benefit of one of our case managers who speaks English, Spanish, and Arabic,
Wow.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so we can do a lot of the work happens after Catholic, you know, who Melissa nicely pointed out, they can only stay with them a few months. You know, the State Department expects these families to be self-sufficient, you know, in 3 months when they don't even speak the language. So those families still need an awful lot of help, and there's a lot of folks in town that are trying to come together and support them, and we're just one of many agencies that do that. So I only had a few minutes, so I can answer questions. That's essentially what we do, though.
I have a question. I kept hearing you say we get them through high school, through high school, through high school. It sounds like you work with them through college as well. If you've got the one girl that's on the basketball team,
Right.
what services do you provide at the college level or beyond high school?
It's not a primary focus. We can count on two hands the number of kids, because we just really started this focus the last few years. We'll do whatever it takes to get them stable, but we don't have an organized program, unfortunately. We just make sure that they're accessing, a lot of what we do is making sure they access the dollars that are out there.
FAFSA, it's big.
Yeah,
it's
and
big.
scholarships and loans and grants, you know, and we just provide a little bit of extra guidance. Got one fellow who does nothing but youth case management. So he's got all these personal relationships with kids, so that, because Dayton Public unfortunately just doesn't have the counseling staff that these kids really need. So we're able to do that for them.
I'm an insurance agent, and we get a lot of individuals that don't speak English as their primary language.
Sure.
And we have a horrible time
Sure.
communicating with them. And I mean, and I'm uncomfortable. I'm selling somebody a policy that I don't even know that they understand what they're buying.
Yeah.
And I wish you had services, you know, for us community members that, you know, need to work with them but don't have the interpreter services there.
Yeah. Well, that's a good job for Melissa. Sure. That's an interesting point, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that language access is one of the things that we've really been trying to get companies and organizations to like realize that there are services available. Obviously, there's a cost associated with them, but in the ultimate aspect, you know, someone can come back and say, "Well, I didn't have appropriate language access," and there's liability on the company.
Yeah.
So I can talk to you.
So, let me just say a few words about our organization. We've got about 45 people working for us on a budget of about $1.9 million, so we're pretty thin. In fact, we're so thin that we had to eliminate health insurance a couple of years ago because it was just eating us alive. So our focus is on providing services in the community and good quality services as well. And we're always looking for resources, financial resources. So, but we've managed to keep it together and stay afloat for 18 years, and we're real proud of the work that we've done. And I think our community is certainly better off because we've been there with the help of a lot of agency and institutional partners. So Homeful being one of them. Yeah. So, okay.
What about the level of achievement that the kids have done in school?
Oh, okay. Okay, so we've got a program called TOTS that gets kids, teaches parents how to get their kids ready for kindergarten. So the program that we do has moved the needle a little bit on kindergarten readiness. So we target kids who live in the neighborhood who are going to go to the public school. We do a Saturday parent education program for 12 weeks that helps parents learn how to, developmentally, what's going on in a 3-year-old's brain, and what's my job as the parent to get that child cognitively developed and socially and emotionally developed. 73% of our third graders are reading. We field 3 extra tutors in Ruskin that we pay for to come alongside the third grade, and just we are doing everything we can to get them reading. So 73% at our school versus 55% at Dayton Public of third graders who are reading. So we're pretty proud of that, and that's a really good sign that things are moving along. The neighborhood, by the way, 63% of the neighborhood kids who would tend to go to Ruskin live below the poverty line. 63, 6 out of every 10 children.
It's pretty much in Dayton. It's the whole Dayton area.
Yeah, Dayton is, I think, what's the Dayton number? Like 44% of kids live below the poverty. So we've got a higher concentration of kids in poverty. And my editorial comment is, the reason Dayton schools keeps getting Fs is not because of the teachers.